Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. Listen, this is not something that I would normally review because, it doesn't fit my little bit of laughter and little bit of shade, but I wanted to give my 2 cents on the documentary Unknown Number. Now, I know y'all have been seeing this all over the place, but before we get into it, let me just welcome anybody that's new. If you are new here, then welcome. I usually give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you're back for a second or third time, then welcome back. Y'all, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share with a friend. Hit that notification bell so that you will be updated each and every time I upload a video. Now, child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. So I'm sitting down, minding my black-owned business, but not really. And I decided, since there are no shows showing, that I will watch the documentary Unknown Number. Now, I watched it with my Patreon peeps over on the Patreon. And so as we're watching, I want to give you the premise of the documentary. So there's this young girl around 14 or 15 years old. Her name is Lauren. And she is getting these obscene text messages out of nowhere. Lauren is dating a guy named Owen. Owen and Lauren grew up together. Basically, they're in a small town in Michigan, and they go to one school. It's called Bill City School. They have pre-K through 12th grade in this one building. Now, do I think that's good? Absolutely not. I think they need to divide those kids. That's too many random ages mixing in together. That's why we have the arrested development that we have at the end of this damn documentary. So Lauren and Owen are a couple. Their parents are friends. Everybody in the small town knows each other. And so Lauren starts getting these text messages saying that, Owen no longer wants her and she's anorexic and she needs to off herself, unalive herself. She's been getting these messages for a total of 24 months. That is 2 years, y'all. 2 whole years. Well, during the course of trying to figure out what's going on, there are some key players in place. We have Sophie, Chloe, Macy, and Adriana. Sophie, Chloe, and Macy are the three amigos. They're all friends. Well, Chloe was throwing this Halloween party that she throws every single year, and Lauren wanted Owen to go with just them two together. But then Chloe kind of had a little something against Lauren, but it wasn't like a jealousy thing. Chloe is the bully of the school. Okay. Now, a lot of people say she's not a bully, but she's not so nice. Listen. After being introduced to her parents in this damn documentary, Chloe is definitely a bully, and she learned it from home. But we'll get there. So Chloe is having this Halloween party, and Owen wants to go because, of course, he and Chloe are close. And Lauren wants to go as his date because, of course, they're a couple. So then all of a sudden, these messages start coming through about, how Owen no longer wants Lauren. And I'm talking about some obscene messages. Then the messages start rhyming and whatnot, talking about you're a slut, get some luck and put it in your butt. Like, it was messages coming through this young girl's phone, in all seriousness. Aside from the messages coming through, everybody in the town is now a suspect. So they're all pointing the finger at each other, trying to figure out who exactly is sending these messages. While all of this is going on, there is a sheriff in town that's not doing anything. And I think his name was Mike, if I'm not mistaken. Mike Main took forever to actually do anything. And when they did do something, it still took too damn long. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. These messages are steady coming through. Lauren's mental health is depleting, and she's still like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So Sophie says that whenever they would mention something around Lauren, then that would show up in the text messages, and she thought that was suspicious. Well, one of the messages, they were talking about how this specific person scored 12 points on the game. Now, Lauren's mom, whose name is Kendra, is actually a volunteer coach, so she keeps score. So she went to the scoreboard and she saw that Chloe is the only person on that team that scored 12 points. Now, Chloe is in some sort of competition with Lauren, and I do not know why, but after finding that out, people really honed in on Chloe. They're like, Chloe has to be the culprit. It has to be her. She got a nasty attitude. Her disposition is awful. Her parents are awful. She's awful. Everybody in the school thought that it was Chloe. Chloe ends up going to Florida for spring break, I believe. And the phone pinged in Florida with a Florida area code. So at first I was like, yeah, it's got to be Chloe. It's got to be Chloe. But then I thought about it. I'm like, I don't think Chloe is stupid enough to keep the party going on spring break. And number two, I feel like this person is trying to frame Chloe because she's the easiest target. See, they knew that Chloe was the bully of the school. So of course, I'm going to go ahead and blame Chloe because I mean, who else I'm going to blame? But then things took a turn. They started to send these pictures. They were getting a little bit too in depth, okay? They started to send these pictures, and these are photos that nobody would have unless they were actually present. So they sent one picture, and everybody's trying to figure out how exactly they would get this picture because it was during a holiday party. And so they started to think, who was at the holiday party that goes to the school who may be able to know where these pictures come from? Owen's cousin, Adriana. So now we're introduced to a new character, honey. A new character has been unlocked. Adriana is like, it wasn't me, honey. Shout out to Shaggy. So everybody's trying to figure out, how did this picture come about then, Adriana? Because you're the only one that would have known about this picture or taken this picture. You were at the holiday party. Mind you, the two parents and the families are working together. So there's Kendra and her husband and Owen's mom. And I don't even know if she had a husband because they never said anything about his dad. They're all working together to see who is harassing these kids. At this point, everybody has been getting text messages, and it's coming to a point where they need to either get a new cell phone number, they need to block the person, or something really big has got to happen because these messages just won't stop. Well, they blamed Adriana. Sophie said, in middle school, Adriana accused us of throwing carrots at her. You did it. Allegedly, okay? Because Macy, Chloe, and Sophie were all three friends, and Adriana accused them of throwing carrots. I was like, child, not carrots, honey. What in the Bugs Bunny? I believe they did it because Chloe's attitude is just stank-a-dank, okay? To this day. So Adriana's like, I'm so scared, and now I'm afraid of police because, the police are coming down on me and blaming me for things that I did not do. Now, I want to add this. Chloe's daddy is actually a part of the police department. And I feel like he was a little bit too close to the case, because had it been Chloe, then that would have been like a conflict of interest. Now, I want to say that Chloe's parents are the epitome of a small town couple who never got out, who were the bullies in their school, and they're now raising the bullies in the new school. These two are insufferable. Even though, Chloe has her things about it, that behavior is learned. Okay, you learned that at home, and she learned how to be how she is from her parents, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So anywho, Adriana was like, well, they're blaming me, so now I am deathly afraid of police officers. So this search is continuing. Mike Main is doing absolutely nothing, and then they call in the big guns. They call in this man who was able to do some forensic digging to see exactly where these calls were coming from. So baby, he clicking and clacking. He all on the computer, honey. Ain't nothing coming up. Bing, bing, bing. And then, now this is 24 months later. I want y'all to keep that in mind. 24 damn months. That is 2 years. 24 months later, the calls go back to none other than Kendra Lakari. Y'all, when I tell y'all my mouth was wide open, do y'all realize who Kendra Lakari is? That is Lauren's own mother. So you mean to tell me that you sat your ass somewhere in a dark corner of a room and decided to cyberbully and cyberstalk your own kid? Not only is it warped, the fact that she agreed to be a part of a documentary where she knows that she's the culprit is even more bizarre. The way she sat there and smiled and slumped all over, and see, I knew it was her. I knew it was her from the very beginning, but I second guessed myself, but then I went back to her. Because if you watch a person's body language and their eyes, it tells you a lot. And when Kendra first hopped on the scene for her little segment, I said, her eyes are a little shifty. Her eyes are a little shifty, and I'm not trusting nothing about it. But I said, you know what, maybe I'm being too hard on her. But I did take a body language class. And when you have been in relationship with narcissists, you know exactly how they behave. So I'm looking at her nonverbal cues, and it gave me Kendra written all over it. But it gets worse. So Kendra is the one that's been sending the message and telling her own damn daughter to unalive herself. Okay. She told her daughter, I want you to unalive yourself. Nobody wants you with your anorexic self, and you look horrible, and Owen doesn't want you, and you need to get him horny, and you're not doing anything, and me and him, we're going to be in a hotel room, and you're not going to be there. All of these disturbing messages, okay? All of these things are coming through to Lauren on the daily. They didn't cease. In between all of that, Owen gets a new girlfriend because he and Lauren break up because it's just too much dissension. She's like, I know you know who this is. And he's like, I don't know who it is. He couldn't, reassure her enough. And she felt like, do you really like me? Because I guess she's thinking, well, maybe it's Owen sending these messages. I don't know what's going on. Now, in the beginning, I was thinking it's got to be Owen. He trying to break up with that girl on the slick instead of just telling the young lady, I don't want to be together anymore. But then the more Owen talked, I knew it wasn't him. He didn't even realize where he went on his first date, child. He had to ask his mama. So I was like, he definitely not sending the messages. Now, the way that the person was sending the messages and the words they were using and the way they were cussing and the lowercase i's and the messages, I was thinking, okay, this has to be a child that just learned how to cuss. Because I'm telling you right now, when I first learned cuss words, I strung them all together like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Ho. Baby, that's the way I put it together. So when I saw the way that the person was cussing in the messages, I was thinking that it was a kid. Come to find out, Kendra ended up texting Owen's new girlfriend saying, Owen doesn't want you. You need to break up with him. And don't nobody want to put up with all that. Plus, the new girlfriend lived in the town over. And she was like, honey, if I want to deal with all this, I'll deal with somebody in my school. So they broke up. Kendra is orchestrating all of this. Now it's time for the police to let Kendra know that they know that it's her. Now, this is when they started to piss me off because I done gave y'all the backstory and the premise. Let's get real. They decide to go to Kendra's home and be ever so polite. Now, if this was Kendra, okay, the black Kendra, we would not be handling her with kid gloves. They go to this home and they're like, hey, how are you? She's like, oh, I'm good. Hey, so yeah, we found some things out. We need to talk to you about them. Oh, okay. Where's your cell phone? Oh, it's in the back. Do you mind getting it for us? Mind you, the whole time I'm thinking, if this was another kind of Kendra, y'all been and slammed her to the ground, put her in handcuffs and ask questions later. But here we are. Okay. So then they go inside the home. Now the home is in a disarray. Okay. I don't know what the hell going on in there. So they get inside the home. They call Lauren to come up to the front. Now, the part that I didn't agree with is, why would you disclose what you found out in front of the person who did it? How traumatic is that? And also, she's already manipulating Lauren. You can tell. So I would not have told her exactly what it is that I found out with Kendra sitting there. So the police call Lauren to come up front. Kendra gets up and starts holding her hand and rubbing on her. I'm like, don't touch her. Do not touch her. You're a weirdo. Clearly, there is something psychologically wrong. There's some arrested development going on. There's some PDF-ism going on because clearly she's in love with this young boy and she's jealous of her own daughter. It happens all the time. She wants Lauren's life because they were referred to as the golden couple. So she's looking at Lauren and she's like, wow, she's so pretty. She's so popular. She has this boyfriend she's been having since forever. And I want that. That's what I was supposed to have, but I'm stuck in this small town. I'm with this man that I don't really like, and now I have this daughter, not to mention that Lauren is the only child. That's even worse. She was vicariously living through Lauren and bullying her simultaneously. Something is legit wrong with Kendra Lakari, and I was a little bit confused as to how they were handling her in this scene. So they call in Lauren, right? Kendra goes over, she's pacifying her, rubbing her hair, holding her hand, looking like she's confused. I'm like, ma'am, you did it. You did it. Talk about, I don't understand. You don't understand what? You did something wrong, and here we are. Now, the way that the cops were explaining things, I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Let me repeat verbatim what they said. So the cop comes in. Okay. And they want to make sure they don't upset Miss Kendra. He goes, I'm going to start the conversation. And you guys have been under a lot of stress recently. Some moves going on, some financial issues and everything else going on. And mom got wrapped up in some stuff and she didn't start it, but she did continue it. So we found some evidence and we have a search warrant and we're going to take her phone and stuff. Sometimes when we aren't thinking straight, we do some things that aren't right. Your mom doesn't want this to get out, but it's some public information. It's going to get out. I want to be honest about that. All right. What? No, absolutely not. Because if it were one of us, they would have came in and said, your mama did it. Okay. The woman that birthed you, the one that makes your chicken strips and French fries at night, the woman who braids your hair, and the woman who's supposed to love you, she did it. It was your mama. Oh, you're confused about that? The text messages that you've been getting saying to unalive yourself and jump off a bridge and you're an anorexic, skinny, good for nothing loser, your mama did it. Your mama. That's what they would have done if it were us. But because it's Kendra Lakari, they're talking in riddles. I'm like, please state it plain. The poor baby is so confused. She didn't even respond. I don't think she knew at the moment what was being said to her. She was legit just sitting there. And I was like, this is strange. But then I had to think about it from her perspective. And she really did not have a natural reaction because they were beating around the bush. So after they got through hemming and hawing, they decided to call the dad. They called the dad. They tell him, hey, we found some things out and we know that it's Kendra. Dad is on 2 wheels, honey, to get back to the house, honey. It probably ain't but one stop sign and one stop light. So he on his way back. He finally gets back to the house. They're like, yeah, so we took her phone. He's like, which one? Because she got more than one phone, honey. I got 2 phones, honey. She got 2. So we need to find that. She has a laptop, an Apple Watch, an iPad, a smoke signal. She be reading Braille. Get whatever it is that she has, take it and look in it and see what's going on. So then they tell him, oh, and also, that job she said she was working, ain't working it. Can't pay the 5. She ain't working it. So the daddy is like, well, she ain't got no job. Not only are you nuts, you're not working. So baby, the dad more pissed that she ain't working than the fact that she's been cyberbullying their only child. The dad comes in. He's like, you ain't got to go to jail, but you got to get the hell out of here. So dad calls Kendra's mom and dad. And she's like, no, I don't want to go. Girl, you do not have a preference right now. Really and truly, you should be in the cop car on the way downtown. Okay, so I don't even know why you're given the opportunity to even sit here and have a conversation about what you want to do for the night. You need to be jailed. So he's like, well, no, you have to go. We got to work this out later. Like, you cannot stay here with us. You got to get out. And I applauded the daddy because in that moment, you cannot stay here. We do not know what you're capable of. You've been sitting in dark corners all night long and texting and bullying this little girl, not to mention all the other children. You have traumatized all of these children. All of them will have the memory of what they endured at the hands of your Twitter fingers. You did that. Adriana is now afraid of police. But if they anything like Chloe's daddy, I don't blame her. She's now afraid of police. You've pinpointed everybody but your damn self. Chloe was all but burned at the stake. And here you are talking about, I don't want to go to my parents' house. That right there told me that she never fully mentally developed. So daddy is looking at the cops like, I'm going to do something bad if she stay here. Y'all going to have to take her. Somebody got to get her. Her parents are on their way and she going to go with them. So she's still sitting there with her mouth wide open, looking like Gretchen from Recess. And I'm like, what in the baby? I'm getting more and more pissed as Gretchen continues to look at me. I'm like, this lady really finna piss me off because the poor little girl, clearly she's trauma bonded to her mom, is given a hint of Stockholm syndrome. She's confused because they're not explaining exactly what it is when they should have just come in and put this lady in handcuffs. I know that would have been traumatic, but what she's been enduring for 2 years is traumatic. So they should have just said, girl, it is your mom. Your mom has been doing this, and there's some things that we need to take care of, and we're taking her downtown. State it plain. So they give them an opportunity for Kendra to go spend the night in her old bedroom at her parents' house. As soon as the cops leave, they're like, well, we hope you guys have a good night and you're able to forge a path. Forge a path? That pissed me off even more. We don't get to forge paths. Okay, we get to kick up daisies. Forge a path? Okay. Now, at this moment, nobody is really talking about the major issue. This is bigger than a text message. This lady clearly had an obsession and she romanticized a young boy. He is 14 or 15 years old at this time. His mother stated that even after he and Lauren broke up, Kendra would still come to his basketball games, his football games, even after they broke up. She was saying all these things to Lauren about Owen because those are things that she really wanted to do. Now, they can say whatever they want to say, but the lady is sick and twisted, and all these things that she was saying is stuff that she wanted to do with this young boy. And that needs to be enough for her to be locked up immediately. Not to mention all of the lives that she changed. Those kids will never be the same. Then she had the audacity, because it keeps going, y'all. She had the audacity to sit and say, well, I mean, a lot of people, do things that, are against the law. A lot of people break the rules. Yeah, we run a stop sign. We might forget to put our seatbelts on. We don't torture and terrorize an entire small town with sexual text messages that are as explicit as all get out, that could make even a 400-pound, 6'5" man blush. Shout out to the superintendent of the school. These messages, y'all, were so graphic in nature that I felt like I was watching The Hub, if you know what I mean. She was using words like cream and cum. And I was like, what is happening? These are all things that she is sending to her daughter and to Owen. She's like, his finger in my P and my V and in his D. I'm like, not the rhyme of it all, not the P and the V and the D, not the suck and the luck and the fuck. I'm talking about the cuss words were rhyming. This lady really is off her rocker. Yet she's not in jail. Okay, she's not in prison at this time. So the story continues, and she's trying to convince us that everybody's broken the law. And people can say whatever they want to say about me, but you know what? It's whatever, because they don't know my full story. I don't have to know your full story to know that you need some help, and to know that you have psychologically damaged these children, to know that this is something that these kids will never forget. I don't need to know your story. I don't give a damn about your story, quite frankly. The only person that I'm concerned about is Lauren. That's it, as far as she's concerned. But I'm also concerned about the other kids that had to endure this and had to come in for questioning. Poor Chloe, even though she didn't do this, and even though people know she's not nice, there was still no reason for her to be questioned and accused of something that this lady knew that she was doing. So now that the entire town knows that Kendra Lakari is the culprit, they pan over to a scene with Chloe's parents. And this is where I knew the apple don't fall far from the tree. The two of them are sitting there and they're talking about how hyped they are. And the dad is talking about how he got on Mike Main because he wasn't listening to the evidence. And then the mom starts with this whole diatribe about how, she doesn't want to hear about the dad and Lauren being victims. They are victims. They're going to try to spin it like they're victims. They are victims, along with your daughter and all the other children who were subject to these messages. And that's when I knew that y'all were bullies too. I'm like, that mama and that daddy, they bullies as well. Okay. You sitting here with this man and teaching your daughter how to be you. And then the dad was like, she has friends at other schools and in other cities. And I think a lot of people are jealous of that. Honey, no, they don't care. They don't care anything about her having friends in other area codes. Okay. They really do not care. This was all about what they've been enduring from your child since pre-K. Because like I told y'all, this entire school, every single grade level goes to this same school. And I don't think that's right. Developmentally, children should not mix after a certain age. That is why in larger cities and in, mid-sized country towns, the schools are divided. There's no way my 5-year-old should be here with your 18-year-old. I don't care how you divide the hallways. I don't care how you have them on the first floor and the other people on the second floor. I don't care about any of that. There's no reason why a 5th grader should be mixing and mingling with an 11th grader. That just doesn't make sense. I know small towns do this all the time because I know there's going to be a person that says, well, that's how small towns do. I know. A lot of my family grew up in a small town where there were only 3 schools, 1 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school. I also know people who have gone to just 1 school. And I am saying, as a former educator, that that is not the way to go. That is not the move, because then you produce a Kendra Lakari. I'm just saying. She's in love with a kid.
Allegedly.
They can try to spin this to, just talk about the text messages. She's in love with a child.
Allegedly.
She needs to register as an offender. She needs to never be allowed near a school campus, a game, even a virtual game. Honey, you don't get to go anywhere near any of that. So as the story is progressing, and now we found out that Chloe's parents are really bullies and they taught Chloe how to be a bully. But Chloe, you're off the hook because it's Kendra. Kendra goes before the court. The court isn't, a court with a lot of people in there. There's only a judge, a few other people, Owen's family, and Kendra. Lauren did not want to be present because she didn't want to hear bad things being said about her mom, because at the end of the day, that's still her mom. And you know how kids love people regardless of, because their hearts are so pure. And a lot of us have experienced parents or people in our families with substance abuse issues. And some people, not all, some people still love them through that. So I wasn't mad at the fact, because I saw a lot of people say they were upset that, Lauren wasn't getting more upset about the situation. She's still a kid. She hasn't processed exactly what she's gone through. So she didn't want to see people being mean to her mom, even though her mom was mean to her. And that is the definition of a trauma bond. Her mom was abusing her through these messages, and probably in other ways as well throughout the years. Okay. But nobody was privy to that. She's been manipulated. She's been isolated. She didn't have any friends. I don't remember throughout this entire documentary hearing about one friend that Lauren had. She didn't have any friends, and she relied heavily on her mother. So of course she didn't want to hear what they had to say about her mom. So Kendra/Karen, okay, because that's exactly what she did when she got in that courtroom, starts reading this letter. And I'm so sorry, and I didn't mean it, and I'm sorry. We don't give a damn. Lock her up. Lock her up. Now Owen's mom is there as well, and she reads a letter to Kendra. And she lets Kendra know that this was very harmful to not only her, but her family, and blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to tell y'all what they sentenced Kendra Lakari to. 1 year. I think it was 1.5 years. If we forget to put our foot on the brake and happen to roll a stop sign, we get 5 years. 1.5 years with all this havoc that she wreaked. I'm sorry, that wasn't enough time, but maybe that's just me. She gets 1.5 years. She continues to message Lauren throughout her stint being in prison. And one of the messages that she sent Lauren was very disturbing to me, because she's still manipulating her even in prison. So they're communicating and they get to talk. I think it was on Mondays and Wednesdays or something like that. And Kendra sends a message to Lauren and she says, "You didn't say you loved me before you got off the phone. You just hung up. So I'm sad." I don't like manipulative behavior like that from parents. I don't like that sort of thing. I have never said to my son, "You made mommy sad," even when he was little, because for children, they internalize that and they think, I have to please this person. I don't want to make them sad. They're my mom. They're my dad. I don't like manipulative behavior like that. You didn't tell me you love. You better be glad she even talking to you. Talking about some, she didn't tell me she loves me. And then she's like, "It's okay, monkey head." I'm like, oh no, honey, cut all communication, all of it. Now, there was a stipulation that she's not allowed to be around Lauren. This could potentially still be going on, but at the time, that's what it was. But Lauren was saying that she still loved her mom and she was going to continue to talk to Kendra. So as she's sitting there, she's explaining to us that she didn't know why her mom kept saying, "Unalive yourself, unalive yourself." She said that still haunts her and she still thinks about that. Now, that's the part that pissed me off, because what if she would have followed through? Why would you even say that? And then Kendra had enough nerve to say, "Well, I didn't start it, but the reason why I did it is because I was thinking maybe somebody would message me back and I could say, 'Why are you doing this?'" What the hell are you talking about? If you started it, let's just get that out there, okay? You must really think we're stupid. If you are not the one who started this, what sense does it make to carry it on? So you're going to torture your child to oblivion? You were going to do what when she was no longer here on earth? run off into the sunset with Owen? What are you even talking? That's why I do not play that little stuff when they be like, oh, that's my little boyfriend. They got my little boyfriend. I don't like that kind of stuff. My child is not your little boyfriend. And as a matter of fact, don't ever come around me again. And Owen was stating how Kendra would do everything for him, go above and beyond, cut his steak. And, she would just do everything for him. And I'm like, where was your mama? Because you sitting here taking and reaping all the benefits, honey. You should have been getting away from that lady. If you felt uncomfortable in the slightest, you should have said, I don't feel comfortable around Lauren's mom. I don't want to go over there. Something is wrong with Lauren's mom. You should have told your mama immediately. I don't care if my son is 14, 15, 16, 17, or 18 for that matter. Don't bring no creepy woman around my kid. Now, going back to this, she is wondering why her mom is constantly saying to her, unalive yourself, unalive yourself. She cannot fathom or process the reason why her mom would continue to say such things if she did not mean it. And I think it was at that moment, because if you watch the documentary, she was disassociating in this scene and she almost looked sedated. And I can just imagine the years of therapy that she's going to need to overcome such a huge thing in her life. That was heinous. And then not to mention she went to school and all of a sudden her mom is all over the internet. Her face is appearing on Google alerts as the cyber mom, the mom that sent the text messages, and not just any old text messages, the nastiest text messages that I've ever seen. So I'm just sitting here wondering to myself, why didn't we act sooner? And also, why is she getting a slap on the wrist? She should not have any communication electronically with anybody. She shouldn't even be allowed to have a cell phone. She need a landline. She'll talk to you when she gets to the house, the halfway house. But she should not be allowed to have a cell phone. She should not be allowed to email anyone. She should not be allowed to talk to her daughter electronically. And she also needs to register as an offender for the rest of her life, because that's exactly who she is and what she is. And I don't care how she tries to talk in a circle about us not understanding what happened to her when she was 17. And it went from, I was hoping that somebody would message me back, which made no sense. Why would you want somebody to message you back when you messaging the victim? So you thought Lauren was going to say, it's me, mom. What are you talking about? That made absolutely no sense. It went from that, I was just trying to help. I was really trying to, help the case. It went from that to, I just was trying to save Lauren because some stuff happened to me when I was younger and I didn't want the same thing to happen to her. So you tell her that she should get Owen horny and take his finger and put it in her V and take hers and put it on his D. That was going to help her to not go through the same thing that you went through, that you didn't give consent for. That was going to help her. The way that this lady processes information just really pisses me off. And then she sits there and she just looks, and that pisses me off. And the fact that everybody is acting like she's innocent, that pisses me off. The whole town, Chloe's parents, that pisses me off. This whole thing, my mouth was wide open, y'all. Wide open. Okay, wide open. At the end of the documentary, we find out that Lauren is no longer really in communication with Kendra anymore. Okay, she doesn't really have anything to do with her mom. Her dad got sole custody. Her and her dad are trying to work through all the issues that arose because of this whole situation. And then we see that she's going to school for criminology. Okay, I just hope that Kendra no longer has anything to do with Lauren. Because, see, it's bigger than just the text messages. She has a deep-rooted hatred and jealousy for her daughter. And that is a person that is dangerous to be around. And when they can no longer control you and when they can no longer manipulate you, it could turn into something worse. She was lying to everybody. Nobody even knew who this woman really was. And at one point, they interviewed her cousin, and her cousin was like, yeah, if I was doing this over here, Kendra would be doing this over here, waving her hands around like, look at me, look at me. She needs to be institutionalized. And she also needs some help, because this documentary and the way that she showed up, and was just going on with the dialogue. I was like, it can't be the mama. But then I thought about it. I'm like, that mama's eyes was shifty. But I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not. And then Chloe, and then the Florida area code. And I'm like, okay, Chloe, you do look like a bully, honey. And you do look like you get into it if you want to get into it, honey. And so I thought maybe it was Chloe, but that was too obvious. Then I thought maybe it was Sophie, because Sophie had a little chip on her shoulder as well. And then I was like, it might be Sophie. I didn't think it was Macy because her disposition didn't give me that. Working with kids for so many years, I can tell who the troublemakers are and I can tell who the followers are. So for me, as I'm watching the documentary, I'm like, it could be Sophie or Chloe, but Chloe would be way too obvious. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that it's her. But then when I saw Kendra Lakari for the first time, I knew that it was her. I knew it. And that was the end of the documentary. Listen, y'all, if you have not watched that, you can travel on over to the Patreon, okay? And that's where I got real and raw and unfiltered, because over here, you do have to censor yourself. There are certain things that you cannot say. You have to make sure that it's ad friendly. So if you want to get the real tea, head on over to the Patreon, honey. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it there as well. Okay. So I just wanted to come and give my 2 cents, because I feel like Kendra is one of those people that should be isolated from the general public. And I hope that Lauren gets all of the therapy and the healing and the help that she needs, because it is going to be a long road. And now that this documentary has been done, this will live on in infamy, and she's going to have to relive this over and over and over again. Not to mention the fact of when she gets married, starts to have children. All of this is going to come into play. So I'm just hoping that for the future, everything works out for Lauren. Y'all comment down below and tell me if you've seen it. The only person that I thought was halfway decent in the whole documentary was the damn daddy, and the man who pinpointed that it was Kendra. That is insane. Y'all got to watch it, honey. I just want to come over here and give y'all my 2 cents, honey. Chloe, you got that bullying from your parents, honey. They are a bully, probably were terrorizing the school when they were in it. And now you're doing the same damn thing. You need to get out of that small town and revamp yourself. Adriana, honey, I hope that you can get through whatever it is that you need to get through and not be afraid of the police. But welcome to our world, honey. That's how we feel on a daily basis. So I can relate. And as far as the documentary as a whole, there were times where my mouth was wide open. There were times when I was angry. There were times when I was confused as to why we're taking so long to get down to the bottom of it. But here we are. Again, y'all tell me exactly how y'all felt about the documentary if you happen to watch it. If you want the real deal Holyfield, head on over to my Patreon, Misha IMO. Okay? Comment down below and I'm going to comment back. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.